A night of quiet defiance. Barron Trump's unforgettable response to the grand ballroom of the Fairmont Grand Hotel in New York City sparkled under the glow of crystal chandeliers and opulent decor. Every detail spoke of elegance. Walls adorned with rich, vintage drapery, polished marble floors reflecting the soft hues of ambient lighting, and tables dressed in fine linens with centerpieces that whispered of old-world grandeur. It was the night of the annual charity gala, an event renowned for bringing together society's elite. Influential business magnates, celebrated actors, and prominent media figures all gathered for a noble cause, to support a foundation dedicated to underprivileged youth. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation and excitement. Guests mingled with glass in hand, exchanging pleasantries and discussing the latest headlines in hushed tones that betrayed their inner expectations for an unforgettable evening. Laughter and light conversation filled the air, and a live string quartet played a selection of classical pieces that lent the room a timeless, almost cinematic quality. Among the distinguished attendees was a young man who, despite his age, exuded a quiet dignity that set him apart from the rest of the glittering crowd. Barron Trump, 18 years old and known more for his famous lineage than for frequent public appearances, sat in a relatively secluded corner of the ballroom. His tall, lean frame was draped in a well-fitted suit, and his piercing blue eyes scanned the room with a composed, almost introspective calm. He was not there to be the center of attention, and indeed, he seemed content to observe the proceedings, absorbing the grandeur and the subtle tensions in the air. As the evening progressed, anticipation grew for the keynote address, an element of the gala that was usually met with both excitement and a hint of apprehension. Tonight's speaker was a well-known liberal journalist, notorious for their provocative style and acerbic wit. Over recent months, this journalist had made headlines with their unapologetic commentary on politics and societal elites, and their invitation to speak at the gala had stirred controversy and speculation in equal measure. Dressed impeccably in a sleek black suit that contrasted sharply with the softer hues of the event, the journalist took the stage to a measured round of applause. Their confident smile and charismatic delivery initially charmed the audience as they recounted humorous anecdotes, quips about New York's notorious traffic snarls, and amusing mishaps from previous galas. The tone was light, and the laughter of the crowd served as a brief respite from the formality of the evening. But as the minutes ticked by, the journalist's tone shifted. With deliberate precision, their commentary turned from benign humor to incisive criticism. The topics became increasingly pointed. Comments on political missteps, subtle jabs at powerful families, and an almost casual dismissal of the privileges that come with fame. The journalist's words, delivered with a blend of sarcasm and theatrical flair, began to stir unease among some members of the audience. Whispers replaced laughter, and eyes darted from one table to another, gauging the impact of each remark. Then came the moment that no one had anticipated. With a sly, almost mischievous glint in their eye, the journalist fixed their attention on the Trump family, and specifically on a young man seated quietly in the front rows. "We cannot ignore the legacy that defines you," they quipped. "Imagine growing up in a gilded cage, every move meticulously scrutinized, where even your very breath is measured by the world's insatiable appetite for scandal. Barron, I wonder, how does it feel to bear the weight of such a name, to be trapped by expectations while the rest of us struggle to simply survive a Monday morning?" A collective gasp rippled through the room. The journalist's tone, initially playful, had taken on an edge that was both personal and piercing. Some guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Others exchanged looks of disbelief. Barron, however, remained motionless, his face an impassive mask of calm. His eyes, a striking blue, held no trace of indignation, only a quiet, steadfast resolve. For what felt like an eternity, the entire hall was enveloped in a silence so profound that even the soft strains of the quartet seemed to have paused in respectful deference. The journalist's final remark lingered in the air, heavy with implication, as every attendee's attention turned toward Barron. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the young Trump rose from his seat. With measured steps that echoed across the polished floor, he made his way toward the stage, each stride a testament to an inner strength that belied his youth. When he reached the edge of the stage, Barron paused for a moment, allowing the silence to settle. The spotlight caught every nuance of his face, the determined set of his jaw, the calm intensity in his eyes, and the quiet dignity in his posture. Taking a deep breath, he addressed the room in a voice that was both clear and resonant, carrying a message that would be etched into the memories of everyone present. "Thank you for your insight," he began, his tone measured and sincere. "I have grown up under the unyielding scrutiny of the public eye, defined by a name and a legacy that often overshadows my own story. Yes, I come from a world of privilege, a world that many would say is gilded and unyielding. But I stand before you not as a mere symbol, nor as a punchline to be used for amusement. I stand here as an individual with my own struggles, dreams, and inherent worth." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the room, ensuring that every word resonated deeply with those who listened. "Your words, intended to provoke laughter and spark controversy, remind us all of the dangers of reducing a person to nothing more than a headline. Every one of us carries a story, a history filled with both triumphs and hardships that cannot be encapsulated by a single narrative. Criticism can be a tool to challenge and inspire, but it can also wound, perpetuate stereotypes, and deny the complexity of our shared humanity." As he continued, his voice grew steadier, imbued with a quiet conviction. "In this world, it is far too easy to dismiss someone based solely on their background or family name. Yet, I believe that true strength lies in embracing one's identity, in rising above the narrow confines of expectation, and in using our experiences to build bridges rather than barriers. I choose to respond not with anger, but with understanding. I choose to believe in the power of empathy, of respectful dialogue, and of kindness as the foundation for genuine progress." The room was spellbound. The atmosphere, once charged with tension and expectation, now transformed into a collective moment of introspection. Every face in the audience, from the seasoned socialites to the cautious media figures, reflected a newfound awareness, a recognition that behind every public persona lies a human being with a complex story. And so, Barron concluded, his eyes locking onto the journalist for a brief moment. "I urge you all to remember that respect must be granted unconditionally, for every person's story is richer and more intricate than any superficial portrayal. Let this evening be a reminder that words, though powerful, have the capacity to heal as much as they can hurt. In a time when division and harsh judgment are all too common, let us choose to listen, to understand, and to uplift one another." For several long, poignant moments, silence reigned supreme. Then, as if stirred by a collective epiphany, a single clap began near the front of the room. It was tentative at first, but soon it grew into a thunderous standing ovation that cascaded throughout the ballroom. The applause was not merely for the eloquence of Barron's words. It was an outpouring of admiration for the courage it took to rise above ridicule and to speak from the heart in defense of one's dignity. In the days that followed, Barron's speech became a viral sensation. Clips and snippets of his measured response were shared widely on social media platforms, sparking a nationwide conversation about the responsibilities of public figures, the power of language, and the need for empathy in an increasingly polarized world. Headlines debated the ethics of the journalist's remarks, while opinion pieces praised the young man's poise and maturity. In classrooms, boardrooms, and dinner tables, people revisited his words, discussing how his response was not just a defense of his own identity, but a call for a more respectful and understanding society. The journalist, whose earlier bravado had now given way to a look of profound regret, issued a statement the following day. "Last night, I crossed a line," they admitted publicly. "In my attempt to provoke thought, I failed to recognize the human element in my words, and for that, I sincerely apologize." Yet, even as some accepted the apology, others debated whether such remarks should ever be directed at a young individual, especially one who, despite his circumstances, had chosen to embody dignity and restraint. For Barron, however, the events of that night were not about personal vindication, but about setting a precedent. In subsequent interviews, he remained characteristically reserved, choosing instead to focus on his studies and personal growth. Friends and family remarked that his response was a quiet triumph, a moment when he reclaimed his narrative and demonstrated that respect is not something to be demanded, but something to be cultivated through empathy and understanding. In the weeks and months that followed, discussions about that fateful evening continued to ripple through the media landscape. Panels, podcasts, and televised debates revisited the incident, each time highlighting the transformative power of a measured response in the face of provocation. Educators used excerpts of his speech to illustrate the importance of respectful discourse, while activists saw it as a call to challenge the dehumanizing tendencies of modern media. As time passed, the memory of that gala night became a symbol, a reminder that even in an age of relentless criticism and quick judgments, there exists a profound strength in choosing to respond with grace rather than anger. Barron Trump's poised defiance had not only silenced the critics in that opulent ballroom, but it also ignited a broader movement towards more compassionate communication in public life. And so, the legacy of that night endures, a story of a young man who, with quiet determination and a steady voice, transformed a moment of potential humiliation into an enduring lesson on humanity, dignity, and the healing power of respect. His words continue to echo in the hearts of those who believe that every person, regardless of background or circumstance, deserves to be seen, heard, and valued. In an era where words are often wielded as weapons, Barron's message stands as a beacon of hope, a call to choose kindness, to listen deeply, and to build a future where understanding triumphs over division. This unforgettable night at the Fairmont Grand Hotel, with its opulent setting and charged emotional energy, has become more than just an isolated incident. It is a testament to the possibility of change, a vivid reminder that when we look beyond the headlines and stereotypes, we find individuals with complex, rich stories worth honoring. In the grand tapestry of our shared experiences, moments like these inspire us to rethink the power of our words, urging us all to build bridges instead of walls, and to remember that every voice, no matter how young or unexpected, can be a catalyst for lasting, positive change.